Welcome to Evolve with the Modern Caveman.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to another episode of Evolve with the Modern Caveman. I'm your host, Gilbert Diaz, aka the Modern Caveman, and we have, as always, a great show prepared for you today. Definitely a show, an episode that I'm really looking forward to presenting today. If you're joining us for the first time, I would like to first and foremost, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, out of your day, and choosing to spend it with me, choosing to spend it listening to this podcast or watching this podcast. I want you to know, and if you stick around in today's episode, you're going to know exactly what I mean by this statement. I want you to know that time is your most valuable asset. Time is your most valuable asset. And I want you to know that not only am I eternally grateful that you have chosen to spend it with me, but it is something that I do not take for granted. Not 1 second of it do I take for granted. And it is my goal and it is my intention here on this podcast to take the time that you have afforded me and use it to pour as much value as I possibly can uh, with the things that I have acquired and learned over the last couple of years, pour that into your life to help you evolve into the next best version of yourself. If you have any questions in regards to what this podcast is all about, or you're curious as to what this whole thing is about, definitely check out episode 1 where I break down exactly what my intentions are with this podcast. Excuse me. So definitely check that out. And if you have any further questions, definitely send me a message by commenting on um on any of these episodes on the platform of your choice. Or you can also check me out on Instagram at Modern Cavemen's Club. That is Modern Caveman, MEN, not Caveman, MAN. Modern Cavemen's Club on Instagram. There you will find tons and tons of content, small little minute clips with minute lessons that you can apply to your life that can help uh, realign your mindset, change your perspective, and hopefully change your life for the better so that you can evolve. As once again, you can evolve into the next best version of yourself. Um, that being said, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is going to be a bit of a follow up episode to episodes 7, which is um, Outlast the Temporary, and episodes 8, Focus. Those are the two previous episodes to to today's episode. So if you haven't checked out those episodes yet, um, definitely check it out. A lot of great value, a lot of great insight and little nuggets in there that can help greatly improve the quality of your life. Remember episode 7, Outlast the Temporary, episode 8, Focus. What I'm gonna do on this episode, I'm gonna kind of mesh those two concepts together, and I'm gonna try to use them to relay the concept about the value of time today. So definitely check those episodes out if you haven't. I am happy to be back from vacation. I spent the past 2 weeks at Orlando, Florida, with my family, with my kids. We went to Disney World. And every time we go to Disney World, we have a wonderful time. There's just something about that place. There's just something about maybe it's the magic in the air. I don't know. There's just something about that place that just turns adults into children, and it makes children just just sparkle with joy, sparkle with amazement, and it's such a great time that we have every time we go. Um, but I remember as a kid, um as a kid, the first time I went to Disney World, I only went once as a kid. Um, it was Disney World was this kind of like distant dream. It was this mystical place. It was a place that and I think to some regards it still is that way. It was this place of magic and possibilities, and you I remember getting the little cassette in the mail and popping it into the VCR. Now I'm kind of showing my age, but for those of you that was the way we watched movies at one point. We popped it into the VCR, and I remember just uh watching um the promos of all the rides and all the characters, and it was just this beautiful place where just magic happened. And I remember the first time we went as a family, it certainly felt that way. It certainly felt that way. And now, many years later, we have been fortunate as a family. God has blessed us to be able to kind of make a lot of those memories over and over again. But it really made me think about Walt Disney and what his dream was, and what his vision overall was for the his amusement parks and Walt Disney World. While we were in Florida, we went to Hollywood Studios, and in Hollywood Studios there was kind of an exhibit, and in that exhibit it's called One Man's Dream, I believe it was called. And in that place, it was all about Walt Disney and his dream, and you get to see his drawing table, and you get to see the concept art for Walt Disney World and the models and all that stuff. And then at the end of it, you go into a auditorium and you get to see a film, and it's basically the life of Walt Disney and how he brought his dream to fruition. And after that watching that video, that film, it really got me thinking about Walt Disney and the whole dream and everything he had there. Um, what I learned is that Walt Disney wasn't selling uh just an ordinary vacation resort, right? You can get vacation resorts anywhere. He wasn't just selling a vacation resort. He wasn't selling an amusement park. He wasn't selling hotels. What Walt Disney was selling, what his dream and his vision was for Walt Disney World and his theme parks, was he was selling memories. Walt Disney made it his mission to sell memories, precious moments, invaluable moments, moments that will last a lifetime. And he did this by fusing the idea of creating a theme park where families can come. And it's not just the parents sitting on the sidelines and watching their kids play, but it was a place where the parents can also play. It was a place where the parents can become children, and the children can embrace their parents as children, and they can have fun as a family and create just moments that will last a lifetime, and spend that time with characters that brought joy and and all kinds of giddy emotions to your life. And and I really just started to think about the value in that, the value of memories. Shortly before I went on vacation, a week before actually, my grandmother passed. Irma Guadalupe. She passed at the age of 90 years young. And there's just something about death. There's something about death that brings a little bit of clarity to life. This often happens to me many times when I experience a loved one who passes, um, or a friend who passes. I often think about my own life. I often think about my own mortality. And at 90 years old, you can't help but to think about all those moments, all those memories that she must have had, all that time that she experienced. And you know, 90 years old, you think, wow, this, such a long time. I can't tell you how many people who are 90 years old and feel like yesterday they were just kids, because life just flew by so fast. Um, and you just think about all those, all the experiences that she had. My wife's grandmother passed last September at 103, and the same thing. Just you think about all those experiences that they had, being able to not only have children, get married, you know, experience all kinds of good things, bad things, whatever it was, experience being a grandparent, great grandparent. Um it's just an exciting thing to think about when it comes to life, right? Uh but it, like I said, there's something about death that brings a little bit of clarity to life. And I always think about those last moments. Always think about those moments, that very last moment, your last breath, that last thought, whatever it is. What's it like? That last, when you know that it's perhaps your last time, what's going through your head? I think, one of the saddest things, and one of the things I always try to, what I've made a point in my life, is to be able to live a life without regret. Because one of my biggest fears in life is to get to that point, to be on that deathbed, to hear my heart beating on the monitor, to see my life flashing before my eyes, and have regret. My goal in my life, and actually my goal here on this podcast, is to be able to create an environment where people can evolve into the next best version of themselves, so that they can minimize the amount of regret that they have at the end of their lives. I want to be able to live my life with this joy and reassurance that I gave it my best shot. I did the very best that I possibly can. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was being interviewed by Larry King, and he asks Larry King, and this is before Larry King died. He says, uh, "Larry, do you would you like to live forever?" And Larry King immediately says, "Absolutely, I would love to live forever." And Neil deGrasse Tyson laughs, right? And he said, that's a very basic answer. It's a very common answer. There's just nobody really wants to die, right? Um, and he says, but it is the fact that we know that this life is so limited, that provides the focus to the value that each moment has. And it really, really got me thinking about the value of every moment that we have and how we spent it. Some time ago, and I don't know if maybe I saw it on an Instagram post or on a TikTok or something, um, or if I read about it, but I came up with this concept called the hourglass of life. The hourglass of life. And some time later, I actually stumbled upon a video where somebody actually has a demonstration of the hourglass of life, and I guess maybe it's parallel thinking or parallel creativity, but we were kind of all in the same wavelength. But it's called the hourglass of life, and the way the reason why I created this model, the hourglass of life, was to be able to best explain how life is. I described life to be like an hourglass, and at the top of the glass, we have sand built up at the top, and the moment we're born, the sand begins to drop to the bottom of the glass, and the grains that fall represent the moments that pass, the memories, the time, those opportunities. Every grain that falls are all the things that pass. The good, the bad, they will all fall until there is nothing left to fall. Now, unlike a regular hourglass, the hourglass of life, we can't turn it around and we can't flip it upside down and cause it to start over. Once the last grain has fallen, that is it. The life that we know will be over. We can't add any more sand to that, and we can't keep it from falling. And each one of us are granted different quantities of sand in our hourglass. And unlike a traditional hourglass, we don't know how much is left at the top. Some of us are, I would say, fortunate, like my grandmother, 90 years. 90 years of sand on the top of her glass, while others, not so much. The thing is, we don't know when that last grain of life will fall. My grandmother, the day that the, literally the day before, was sitting eating a pizza and smiling and laughing about about ice cream. She loved ice cream and lollipops. She loved that. Um, she didn't. There wasn't a thought in her mind that that was going to be her last hours. There wasn't a thought in her mind that she wasn't going to see tomorrow. Um, we don't know. We cannot determine when that last grain will fall, but we can enjoy the moment before it does. We can enjoy it before it passes. But too often, we live our lives focusing on what's at the top of the hourglass or what's on the bottom of the hourglass, focusing on the future or focusing on the past, and we miss the middle. We miss the moments as they pass. I always say one of my favorite quotes comes from Lao Tzu. I think I actually said it in one of the the previous episodes. If you are depressed, you're living in the past. Um if you're anxious, you're living in the future. But if you're at peace, you're living in the present. There's a beautiful quote that I actually heard from, of all places, Kung Fu Panda. It said the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present. The truth about time is that neither the past nor the future exist. The past has gone and no longer exists. So why should we spend our time, our energy focusing on that? This is where the concept from episode 8 comes into play. Why should we take our time focusing on the things that no longer exist. Likewise, our future is not guaranteed to us. So why should we spend our times anxious about what tomorrow has? Spend your time appreciating the moment that you have right now. The present is the only place where you can cultivate the life that you want. The present is the only place that you can cultivate the experiences that you would like to have. You know, a lot of people often talk about Monday, right? On Monday I'm going to get to that. On Monday I'm going to I'm going to chase that dream, or on Monday I'm going to chase this. I'm Here's the funny thing is that you're not guaranteed Monday. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. Honestly, you're not guaranteed the next second. Take the moments as they come. Take the moments as they arrive and cultivate the life that you want now, not tomorrow. You definitely couldn't do it yesterday. Do it now. See, hope, peace, joy, love, all those things exist in the present. They can only happen in the present. They can only um, evolve and grow in the present. So take the moment that you have now to cultivate it. Appreciate the moments while they last. I remember when I was co-hosting the Thrive in Life podcast, my co-host CMA Rockstar will often say um she'll often say, look up into the sky and smell the roses. Look up into the sky, smell the roses, just kind of just be one with the present. I have a friend on TikTok who makes these beautiful posts. She takes her phone and she'll go hiking and she'll videotape these beautiful waterfalls on her hikes. Sometimes she'll videotape like just her walking through a forest, or maybe like a lake, or just the sky. And there's just something about those posts that just makes me just stop. And every time I flip through the pages and I see it, I have to watch it to its completion. You know, there's many times where you may go through social media stuff and you watch something and it has no value, and you just skip it. But her post, there's just something about it. And I've spoken to her about this before. There's just something about it that just it's just beautiful. It just brings peace to your heart. And I think what it's about is even though she's capturing it on the phone, you kind of you kind of live in the moment, right? One of the things I love to do is uh is just sit and just appreciate nature and appreciate the things that God has created. Looking around and just look uh, and just embracing it, and just knowing that this moment is not gonna last. But while I have it, I'm just gonna love it. I remember going to the Grand Canyon one day. And this is a very funny story, but um I was scared beyond belief, and I remember sitting down and looking at the vastness of the valley below, and it all looked fake. That's how high up I was. And there was just this feeling of awe that came over my life. And I remember thinking to myself, God, you're great. This is just beautiful. And it was one of those moments where I just wanted to just freeze it and keep it, and take it with me wherever I could. If you have a dream, do it now. If you have a vision, do it now. If there's something that you are that you are striving after, do it now. Stop rushing life. This, like I said, there's something about um my friend's post that just brings me back, centers me when I see it, because it reminds me of the small things, the little things, the things that are truly valuable in life. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. A few years ago, there was this woman on social media who was dying from ovarian cancer. Her name was Haley. I always get her last name um messed up, so I'm not gonna say it. But her name is Haley. You could definitely look her up on TikTok. She was dying from her ovarian cancer, and her husband was documenting those last few months. And there was this one particular post where I remember just it it really hit my heart, where she went on vacation and she's just sitting on a chair and she's on the beach and she's looking at the ocean, just quiet, just listening to the waves crash, watching the sun set, just appreciating the sounds, the the feeling of the wind against her skin. There was another post where she was just sitting in front of a window and hearing the thunder roar outside, the rain clash against the glass, just appreciating the moments, just trying to slow it down a little bit. How many times do we go through life trying to rush it, not appreciating maybe the rain that's crashing outside? Take a moment out of your day and just listen. Listen to the water that's flowing as the rains drop on your windows. Listen to the thunder crash. Take the time to feel the wind blow between your hair, because there's gonna be a day where you can't. There's gonna be a day where you won't be able to. You're gonna wish that you could. While preparing this episode, I stumbled on a poem. And let me see if I can actually. It's called One Last Time, and it really spoke to me. I'm gonna read the poem, The Last Time. From the moment you hold your baby in your arms, you will never be the same. You might long for the person that you were before, when you had freedom and time and nothing in particular to worry about. You will know tiredness like you never knew it before, and days will run into days that are exactly the same, full of feelings and burping and napping and changes and crying, whining and fighting, naps or lack of naps. It might seem like a never ending cycle, but don't forget, there is a last time for everything. They will fall asleep on you after a long day, and it will be the last time you will ever hold a sleeping child. One day you will carry them on your hip, then set them down and never pick them up that way again. You will scrub their hair in the bath at night, and from that day forward on, they will want to bathe alone. They will hold your hand to cross the road, then never reach for it again. They will creep into your room at midnight for cuddles, and it will be the last night you will ever wake to this. One afternoon, you will sing the wheels on the bus and do all the actions, and then never sing them that song again. They will kiss you goodbye at the school gate. Then the next day, they will ask to walk to the gate alone. You will read a final bedtime story and wipe your last dirty face. They will run to you with arms raised for the very last time. The thing is, you won't even know that is the last time until there is no more times. And even then, it will take you a while to realize. So while you are living in these times, remember there are only so many of them, and when they are gone, you will yearn for just one more last time. When I read that, I mean, it really touched my heart because I can't begin to tell you how many last times come to mind. You know, when I was a younger man, so I'm still a young man, but when I was a younger man, and I had my daughter, I remember one day she was asleep in my arms and I was rocking her back and forth. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna ever have this time again. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I just want to freeze it. I just want to freeze it. I want to be in the moment. And then some years later, we went to Disney World, and I remember we were at the Polynesian Hotel, and we're having a late night swim. A couple of friends came to visit us, um, and they have this really cool slide in the resort. And while we're there, um, my daughter gets to the top of the slide, and I'm at the bottom of the pool, and I'm talking to a friend of mine, and we're just having this regular casual conversation, probably a conversation that we could have had many times. But from the top of the slide, my now older daughter um yells down, "Daddy, Daddy, come up here. Come slide with me." And I remember yelling back up to her, Go, don't worry. I'll do it. I'll do it later. I'll do it later." And I kept, shooing her off. "I'll do it later. I'll do it later." And I remember my friend looked at me and he said, "There's gonna be a time when you can't go down. That she won't ask you to go down that slide. There's gonna be a time where you're gonna be the only one wishing that you took that moment. So go up to that slide. Go down with your daughter. We can always have this conversation another time." And it really dawned on me that I forgot. I have forgotten about that moment that I had with her as a little girl, holding her tight in my arms. And now she was almost a teenager. And I was refusing to go down the slide to make a memory that will last a lifetime. I got up from the pool and I went down that slide. I went down that slide, and now a couple years later, my friend was right. She doesn't call me from the top of the slide anymore to come down with her. She doesn't scream anymore for me to do certain things. She doesn't take me by the hand anymore. She's a teenager now, and how grateful I am that I went down the slide. How grateful I am that I made that memory. Because just like that poem said, there will be a last time. My my coach, Dean Graziosi, I've mentioned him um previously on a previous episode. He talked about once in one of his lessons, he talked about One day it was his son's birthday, and now God has blessed this man, and he's been fortunate with good finances, and he decides that he's gonna go all out for his birthday. It's a young child's birthday, and he rents a private plane. He takes him to California. They go to Disneyland. They spend all the time in Disneyland. They go and they find the best restaurants. They eat at the best restaurants. They go to the best hotels. They sleep there, and then they end the trip on the beach, looking for seashells. And on the way back, he asks his young kid, his young son, "What was your favorite time in this entire trip?" Expecting that his son would talk about the theme park or the restaurant or the hotel. No, his son spoke about the simple things. He said his favorite thing about the entire trip was searching for seashells with his father. Live your life in a way where you appreciate the simple things, where you create the moments that's where you create the moments that will last a lifetime. Those are the seashell moments, the moments that you will be on your deathbed and you won't have regret for. Regrets are missed time, missed opportunities, missed moments. Instead, make seashell moments, moments that will last a lifetime. I remember one day my pastor was telling a story while he was preaching. He talked about how there was this mother who uh, who was working. She was working, and her toddler, her baby, came up to her and said, "Mommy, can you play with me?" As she looks at her toddler and she says, "Honey, I'm busy right now. I'm working. I'll play with you later." And then the child comes back again sometime later and says, "Mommy, will you play with me?" And she said, "Same thing." She says, "Honey, I'm busy right now. Uh, I'll play with you later." Child returns again and again and again, and the same response the mother gives. At some point, the mother closes the laptop and she says, "Okay, honey, I'm ready to play with you." And when she looks upon her child, they're an adult, and it's too late. Don't let those moments pass. Go down the slide. Make those seashell moments. Appreciate them as they come because they will not last. Everything in life is temporary. Focus on what is truly valuable. You know, I think about my grandmother and the 90 years, and you think of 90 years, you think, "Wow, how great." And then you see somebody who may die at 25, and you may say to yourself, "Oh, well, how short?" I think about a fruit fly, right? A fruit fly lives for 24 hours. And you may ask yourself, like, "That's so short." But when the fruit fly dies, the fruit fly is born and dies with a purpose. He lives his life with purpose. Now, the truth is, it's not about the quantity of your life, but the quality of it. See, someone can have 90 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, but if there is not purpose or value to the grains that fall, then did they truly live a full life? I would argue that someone who lives a short life, but lives it to the fullest, lives it to the highest of their potential, who appreciates every moment as it lasts, Those people live their life to the fullest. They live a full life. We can't determine when the last grain will fall, but we can determine the quality of that grain before it falls. I want to end this episode. I know this was a long one, but I want to end this episode just looking back at my grandmother's life. She lived 90 years young, like I said. And anytime you saw her, she um she had a smile on her face. She had a smile on her face. If you ever asked her if she was okay, she dealt with some ailments at the end. She will never admit that there was anything wrong. Yo todo bien, she will say, which means I'm good. I'm okay. She was always joking, she was always laughing. I know that when she took her last breath, there was no regret. I know that she appreciated the moments. And I hope that as you listen to this episode, if there's anything that you could take from it, just know that everything in life is temporary. And if you want to if you want to live a full life, a life of value, of peace, love, hope, you can only do it in the moment. You can only do it in the present. Appreciate the small things and make the seashell memories, the seashell moments. Those are the ones that are going to last a lifetime. Go down the slide. Take the take the dance. Ask the girl out. Kiss the girl. Whatever it is. Don't let the moment pass you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was definitely one that was very dear to my heart, and just let me know. Let me know what you think of this episode. Like I said, hit me up on Instagram at Modern Caveman's Club on Instagram. Also follow me on TikTok at Modern Caveman. Um, if you got any value from today's episode, do me a favor, please, please, please share this episode with a friend, a family member, or anybody that you believe this episode or any of my content will greatly help. It is my goal, like I said, to spread as much value as possible. And by doing so, by sharing this content, you will help me get just a little bit closer to that goal. I want to end this episode, like I said before, appreciate the moments. Uh, God bless you. And as always, keep evolving the modern caveman way.